Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Kennel NRL podcast. So it's been a big week in rugby league, and what we're going to do today is we're going to be a little bit different. So we're going to do a mini review of the previous round. There will be an extended version of the review on our Spotify and anywhere else you get your podcasts. I'll have the links down below, and if you do watch this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. So today, it's just Dibbo and I. Bit of a one-on-one today with my co-host Dibbo. Keeping it nice and simple for you guys today. How'd you see the round, Dibbo?
Look, another fantastic round. You're still getting your surprises. You're still getting your upsets, your great performances,
Are you poor officiating?
and obviously your poor officiating and your dramas. This one actually particular got under my skin. It actually does always affect you more when it's your side that seems to
Absolutely.
cop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can rant on for a while, but we'll get there. If you want to,
Yeah.
we can get stuck in from Thursday night's game and go along from there.
Let's do that. But if you do want to hear an extended rant, be sure to check out the full review on Spotify because let me tell you, Dibbo goes on a rant this time. So let's start, I guess, with the doggies and the Rabbitohs. Right? We'll just start there. We're a doggies podcast. Let's start there. Very quickly, I want to say that despite the loss, I don't think the Bulldogs should be too disheartened by that. Poor officiating, a poor sin bin. And the Rabbitohs were sort of crowing after that win. I don't think the Rabbitohs should be too happy. Jason Demetrio was coming out, guns blazing about the hip drop by Jacob Preston, but missed one from his own player, Cameron Murray. Let me just say that the Rabbitohs will struggle this year if they think that was a good performance.
Look, I didn't have Canterbury winning this at all. I just think they're missing too many regular first graders. This is the professional leagues. You can't just put rookies in or boys to men and expect them to knock over your seasoned first graders. It's a lot harder than that for the average viewer at home. Look, Canterbury did start the game on fire,
Yeah.
and then it's when Josh Adokar went down that basically the whole game started changing. And then look, Souths got out to a 26-12 lead. Canterbury were actually starting to mount a comeback. And lo and behold, you get the Canterbury player, Jacob Preston, just trying to simply steal the ball. But, it's a strip all of a sudden. And he goes in the bin.
It's a hip drop.
A hip drop. 4 tries later, and you get the flattering scoreline of 50-16. Just to show you the inconsistencies in this. So Preston gets cleared after the game, no fines. But if you see during the game, Cameron Murray has something that's more of a hip drop,
Than what Preston had.
and I've seen players get charged for something about the way that Cam Murray did. But Cam Murray didn't even have anything to answer for. So
That's right.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Is the judiciary and the refs picking, choosing their favourite clubs all of a sudden and favourite players?
And it was in the same game. It wasn't even a different game. It was the same game,
There-
maybe 10, 20 minutes
There
later.
is
So
certain clubs and certain players that get the special treatment, and honestly, the NRL better put a stop to this because they've had a flying start to the year. They're up 15% on viewership from last year, TV ratings,
Yeah.
whereas the AFL is actually down on 6%. And I think the NRL also, attendance at games is also up as well. So they're having a flying start. Don't let your bunker, don't let your judiciary, and don't let your refs ruin your momentum.
absolutely great. I cannot agree with you more.
All we ask for is consistency,
Absolutely.
common sense on rules. They got to get this hip drop right. There was another incident with Jaden Sewer. We'll get to that game soon enough. But honestly, don't ruin it for us.
And just as a doggies supporter, doggies fans, don't get too upset with that loss. I think we'll make a good account for ourselves throughout the year. I think we would have learned a lot from that game. It's a shame that we've lost Adokar, but this week we get a lot back. So, look, I'm not too upset. I think it's one of those games that you learn from, you move on, don't think about it again.
We'll fly through these.
Thursday game, Melbourne Storm Roosters.
Well, just quickly, the Roosters were very lackluster, underwhelming. I know they're probably missing Teddy at the back. They do play a lot off him.
Yeah.
They got to learn to start playing more without him,
Mhm.
just in case he's got HIA or he's out
Agreed.
injured or origin duties. Melbourne, up for it. Craig Bellamy, he's left us all with egg on his face after they lost back-to-back against the Gold Coast and the Dogs.
Mhm.
Very clinical, and they'll just grow throughout the year. I did not have them as a premiership threat. They're starting to prove me wrong.
They are definitely a premiership threat. And look, Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant, Cameron Munster, and Nick Meaney at the back, they were excellent. You can only imagine when Paps eventually does come back, how good they will be. So Melbourne, well done. I think they've, as you said, they've put egg on a lot of people's faces by proving what a threat they are. They played some entertaining footy, and their team just gelled once again like the Melbourne we know. So Roosters, I think they have a lot to work on. Are they going to be the same threat that everybody thinks they will be this year? I don't know. We'll find out
in about maybe 8 or 10 rounds.
Yeah, I think sort of towards after the Origin period, we'll see
Definitely.
who's got the medal and who doesn't. Dolphins v Cows up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Dolphins, well done. They played excellent. Hamiso continues to score. Their team continues to fire even with some injuries that they've got. Their forwards are laying a platform.
Yeah, those forwards kept harassing the opposition sides. I didn't think Cowboys would get up. I didn't tip them. I know it was a home game. I just think they've had a fair draw this year against weaker sides. And again, they were lackluster.
Mhm.
I went the Dolphins. Again, they were clinical and deservedly so. They're sitting high up on the ladder.
Absolutely. I mean, they could, if they, theoretically, if they can continue to perform, you could see them in the top 4. I'm not saying they will be. I'm saying if they can continue to perform and keep some of their players on the park, honestly, they could be top 4. And it's not so surprising anymore to see. I think they'll definitely be in the 8. Like, they're just playing too well. Cows, very disappointing. I thought with Drinkwater and Ruben Cotter back, they'd be better. I think
need a few more games.
I think they've been, to a large extent, they may have been figured out a little bit. Same with the Sharks. I think that they did very well last year because they took the competition by surprise. This year, teams are a bit more wary of them, and they're a little bit more wary of those tactics.
I think you're spot on there. That, and also they had the easiest draw last year.
They did. Them and the Sharks had a very
I think they
draw.
both got an easy draw compared to a lot of other sides, but it's what you pointed out. They haven't evolved their game. They're still playing the same style last year where everyone knows their bag of tricks.
But they've got good coaches, and I do think they will start to sort of fix or iron out some of those problems.
Definitely.
So look for the Cows to come home strong, I think, at the latter half of the season. Manly v Penrith, 44-12.
I didn't think Manly would get in within 20, and
You were right.
I think you and Brandon, might have felt the same way. Yeah. Turbo, I think their problems got compounded with Turbo having back spasms.
Yeah.
He couldn't inject himself. I had a feeling there was something wrong, and then post game, turns out he had some back spasms, and that really stops you running.
Yeah, look, I think one of their problems is that they seem to lack a little bit of communication and cohesion. And I think with Anthony Seibold there, he's still figuring out their defensive tactics. They've, defensively, they've been quite poor. 32 against the Knights put 32 on them. The Panthers have put 32 on them. The Eels put 32 on them, even though they won. The only real comprehensive win that they've had was against the Bulldogs. So, look, they came out of the box looking good, but I think their defense is really starting to let them down. And if they want to be a threat, they're going to need to figure that out.
I mean, if they're going to make that, it'll be fringe, but I can't see them making the top 8.
You think so?
I didn't even have them. I actually had them quite lowly at the start.
I remember you called them for the spoon.
Yeah, and I mean, they overachieved by winning those first few games, I felt. But here they are, starting to slide down the ladder again.
I mean, it is early days, and they do have a good team. It's just a matter of whether Seibold can get the pieces of the puzzle right. Broncos and Raiders, 20-14. Raiders won that one. Well done to the Raiders. Last week we gave you guys a bit of a stick, but you guys have come back on the back of one of my favourite gingers in the game, Corey Horsburgh. Well done, brother. Keep going.
The ginger ninja.
I thought the Broncos didn't play too badly. Jordan Rapana played out of his skin. I think Papali'i, performed like we know he can perform. But the whole team in general, I thought, defended very well. They played for each other. And so good to see Jared Croker back. I want to see Jared Croker in this team every week.
Look, I just want to say Canberra is the most unpredictable side and probably now the most hated side in NRL because they have absolutely cost everyone tips probably every single round of the NRL.
And Supercoach, they've thrown everyone's Supercoach.
They lose against teams expecting to win against, and then you have them in your 8, you throw them out of your top 8, and then they go beat the undefeated side, and then just leave you with egg on your face. It's like, what's happening next week now? Do I tip you or not tip you? They are the most unpredictable side, and they just leave a sour taste in everyone's mouth.
Agreed.
But well done.
Well
Great win against the odds. Brisbane was getting some hot hometown decisions,
They were.
and they still came home with the biscuits.
Titans and Dragons. Your beloved Dragons fell.
Yeah, look, I
the
touched
last
on
minute.
this. I have touched on this in the Spotify podcast. Just on the referee guessing a call. That 6 again call with 4.5 to go caused a chain reaction of all those 6 again calls after. So Toby Sexton skews his own pass, goes to the ground. Zach Lomax is about a metre away. I don't know how the ref decides to call 6 again. It's like he's guessed the call, and then lo and behold, he gets trigger happy afterwards and gets 3 6 again restarts for innocuous reasons. And lo and behold, who scores the winner? The guy that actually skewed his own pass. They should never have got the 6 again. So that left me with sour taste. Yes, the Dragons should have been way ahead, but things like that, the refs got to fix. They can't just guess a call. They don't see it. Bad luck.
Look, they didn't have
you're
or
unsure,
AJ Brimson, so
it was a good
Titans
win.
did perform well, and I think it was a good win to stick it to the Dragons and then come away with the win.
I just feel like the ref guessed that 6 again call, and he really, really shanked it.
Lomax needs to fix his kicking.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that kicking tee.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's changed his kicking tee. Look, another thing I think they just got to do is put Surly back on his right side. On his left side, and put Lomax back on his right side.
The experiments failed.
Yeah, the experiments failed. Lomax has got a killer left-hand palm where he offloads with the right, and Surly absolutely monsters him on the left, even though he's also favoured the left hand as well. I think the experiments failed.
Yeah, it works better the other way.
The experiments failed, yeah.
Knights Warriors, got to say to the Knights, well done for continuing to perform at such a high level. I gave Adam O'Brien and the Knights a little bit of stick in the beginning of the year, but for you guys for the Knights to be performing so consistently without Kalen Ponga and with some of your stars missing, unbelievable. Warriors weren't bad either. Warriors played well. So for the Knights to continue to win, and with Greg Maggio on one wing, Dominic Young on the other, I think
they're complementing each other really good.
Great wing combo.
I just think the Newcastle can actually afford to rest the likes of Kalen Ponga, Tyson Gamble, and Fafita for much longer because they're winning without him. So it's not panic stations to bring them back in. They're sitting comfortably in the top 8.
Agreed.
Whether they'll be in the 8 at the top at the end of the year, if they just keep these performances up, definitely. At the moment, I mean they're winning playing short. So
yeah,
I want to say that they'll fall away, but they're winning whilst missing players,
and they're also winning with a lot of grit and determination. They're not falling off in tough situations.
Have they found the winning formula basically where they don't have? I mean, most players, you got Fafita, who's your meter cruncher, so you might have forward sit back, watch him do all this.
Which Fafita?
I'm sorry, Saifidi.
Saifidi, yeah.
My apologies, Saifidi. So you got Saifidi, who is your meter cruncher, so you might get other forwards sitting back thinking he's going to do everything. He's not there now. Those forwards are getting involved. You got Kalen Ponga at the back, who they think is just going to do everything. But because he's one of the most overmarked players in the game,
that's right.
His effectiveness is negated. So because he's not there, the other players have stood up.
That's right.
And got involved more. And your likes of Lockie Miller have excelled. And I think even Bradman Best is starting to have a better opening to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And
he's getting more of the ball.
And Jackson Hastings has been able to unlock his wing and centres a lot better. He's been able to just bring this team together and lead them around the park.
I think with Jackson Hastings, one thing I've noticed, he has to be the dominant playmaker in the side. I think can't have anyone there that's a threat to him. I don't know if I use the right word, threat, but it just looks like it suits him.
He needs to be in control.
Just the chief playmaker.
But that's how some halves are. And they're the good halves. The good halves are the ones that need to be in control because they know that they're the ones that can make the move. Which is...
It didn't work out Manly because he had DCE. It didn't work at the Tigers because their golden child's Luke Brooks. And at the Roosters, they had depth there, so... Just didn't work there either.
And again, I'll go back and say the Tigers getting rid of Jackson Hastings was a bad move.
Look,
I don't know what's in the background, but
no, look, every competition needs their basically their black sheep. So well done, West Tigers, for being the cellar dwellers repeatedly and keeping the wrong players and recruiting the wrong players. Well done, did us all a favour.
Which is a great segue into the final game of the round, which was Parramatta against Wests. Look, I've got to say, Wests blew it, and Parramatta and their fans should not be very happy with that win. I saw Mitch Moses shushing in the crowd and stuff. Look, bro, you beat a Tigers team that's been absolutely hammered from pillar to post all year.
I'll defend Mitchell Moses on that. the crowd was absolutely giving it to him, and they are probably the grubbiest fans in the game, the
Hey,
West
hey, hey.
Tigers. So Mitchell Moses,
They're
well
not
done.
the West Tigers are not that bad of supporters. The Parramatta Eels aren't much better, right? But hang on.
But
Hang on a second.
any player copping stick from the crowd, he's got every right to just literally give a
Hang on.
nice gesture like that.
Mitch Moses is for $1.4 million, right? Only seems to perform sporadically and not consistently, right? All right, he did well against the Panthers, and then he did well against the Tigers.
Okay, but if he goes, who does Parramatta have? Or who can they get in his position?
That's a good question, and I'm sure they've got good juniors, right? They've got a good juniors.
There were a few clubs, I think, not willing to pay. I don't know if he's even on 1.4, but let's just say it is
Well,
1.2.
1.2, 1.3.
I think there was a few clubs, probably not willing to pay 1.2, probably about a mil or 900K mark that wanted him. And that's still a lot of money.
He hasn't won a grand final, and he's expecting this much money. And I don't think the Eels will win the grand final with Mitchell Moses and Clint Gutherson.
I think you said they won't win one for the next 10 years.
I think that the Bulldogs will win a grand final before the Parramatta Eels do.
I think we said that on the last podcast.
I'm telling you, Mitch Moses is not a grand final winning halfback. I'm sorry, I know that's rough, but he needs to stop whinging and start playing. That's my opinion. Mitch Moses, he's always having a whinge about something.
Look, he took him to the grand final last year. He's played State of Origin.
And then did nothing. Did nothing in Origin. Did nothing in the grand final. It's a bit harsh, but I just don't think he's a grand final winning halfback.
I think he's just played in his hands, basically. I mean, if he goes, who does Para get? And a few other clubs actually wanted him, Canterbury being one of them. I know they didn't want to pay 1 point something.
I don't think Phil Gould and Cameron Ciraldo would waste that big of a cap on what I would say a half that has not yet won a grand final. You know? I think Cleary would be worth it.
I think most top line halfbacks these days are going to go for a minimum of 900,000.
Yeah, look, agreed. But
I think they're your $1 million plus players.
I still think that when it counts, Mitchell Moses doesn't show up.
Look, a few games last year. I mean, against Melbourne in that last round, he absolutely had a good game. In the finals, he had a good game.
He had a couple of good games, but he was being, and you can see it now that the halves were being very much not carried, but were really, really benefiting from Reid Marnie's service. No disrespect to George Hodgson.
Look, they're missing a few forwards from last year as well, so he's go forward. Look, give him a bit more time.
I don't know. I just think.
I mean, I'm not saying you're off the mark. I'm just saying probably a bit harsh there, but I'm just pointing out a minimum top line halfback these days is going to go for $900,000 to $1 million. So, I mean, whether Para paid excessive, I probably feel like they did. Probably maybe 900. I don't know what he's earning. I mean, if it's 1.4, it's just like, wow.
I think he had them by the balls, to be honest.
I mean, who are they getting in his place? They didn't have a contingency plan, so
which is silly for them.
They backed themselves into that corner.
Absolutely. So that was a quick round review of round 6 in the NRL. As I said, we do have an extended round review on Spotify. Link will be down below. So be sure if you want to hear the extended review, just check out our Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts. We've got Google Podcasts, Amazon, so many other places where you can hear that podcast. And this podcast as well will also be up there. So this episode 7 will also be on Spotify and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Now, onto the NRL news.
Oh, look, I don't know, man. I was just looking at you being a fiery ginger today.
Oh, mate.
Look, I don't know. I was just thinking about the gingers or the redheads in the NRLs.
Yeah?
NRL over the years. Do you have like any influential top 5 or influential redheads or favorites you had over that time? You want to give me some of them?
I'm so glad you asked. Because let me tell you, there are about 20 gingers that I can list that I thought, I loved watching play.
I reckon you've been feeling that since the first day I ever watched. You just single out the redhead. It's like looking for the black sheep amongst the white sheep, basically. It's just one every 10 teams.
Alan Tongue, Brad Myers, going back very
Brett
long.
Dallas.
Brett Dallas. There were so many gingers that I loved watching. But I do have a list of top 5.
Let's hear them.
It's interesting that you've asked. So here are my top 5 gingers to play rugby league that I personally love. Right? Number 5. The OG Ginger Ninja, Keith Galloway. This guy was the OG for me growing up in the 2000s, watching rugby league players play, him, Alan Tongue. But he was one of my favorites. He was a prop. He was fiery. And he was one of my favorites. So at number 5, Keith Galloway. Number 4, the late, great Thomson.
Yeah, Tomo.
Oh, Thomson.
My favourite.
And, it wasn't a big forward, wasn't a big second row, but he was always fiery and he always had the grit and the aggression. And it's a shame, that we lost him so young, but he was another one of my favorites. In at number 3, current Canberra Raider and absolute superstar, Corey Horsburgh. I love you, mate.
He's a character.
What a character he is. It's the ginger, bro. I'm telling you.
Are they all emotional as well?
Because we're all fiery. He was crying
as he walked off the field one game.
Oh, mate. It was no, he was angry. It was tears of anger. But love Corey Horsburgh. Number 2. Now, the only reason I have this player at number 2 is because number 1 has to be Fatty Vorden. So I'm going to give that up. And my number 2 is the great James Booper Jimmy Graham. James Graham, I love you. I love the fact that you're working with the Bulldogs again. Love hearing your opinions. Love seeing the fire in the commentary. Love seeing the fire on your podcast. It's so great to still have you around in rugby league. You're my favorite, but I couldn't put you at number 1 because of Fatty Vorden, who is my number 1. Fatty Vorden is just the OG, carrying the flag for gingers everywhere. He's proud ginger. He happily says it. Bit of a chubbers as well. We all identify with Fatty Vorden, and he's my number 1 ginger in the NRL. I don't think there'll be a more famous ginger in the rugby league ever.
That's a pretty great list. I actually know a few of those on a personal level or new. Look, Keith Galloway, we're about the similar ages. He's from the area.
Yeah.
As kids, everyone growing up knew Keith. Everyone in the area knew him as a schoolboy prodigy. He went to Coggamarist. I think he made his debut as a 17-year-old for Cronulla while still at school.
Wow.
One thing about Keith is he's this gentle giant. He's the nicest guy. I still see him regularly from time to time. He lives in the area still.
So you see him regularly or from time to time? Which one is it?
Oh, look, from time to time. He might be driving by going to work and I'll just see him off the road. Nicest guy, loved by everyone in the area. He was a cult figure, basically. I always told him one day you are going to end up playing for... He basically grew up in the shadows of Cogger Oval.
Wow.
Yeah. He never played for the club.
Yeah.
And I think whenever he was playing against them, it was the team he got up to play most against.
Wow, okay.
It's like he hated them with a passion. Yet he played in their junior comp. He used to go to their games.
Yeah.
And what a player. He almost broke our hearts in that 2010 preliminary final.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's up there in my top 5.
Yeah.
He could pack a hit. Tomo would be my number 1. Another one I knew on a personal level. He actually went to school with my cousins. He was actually a hellraiser. So he used to go to Blakers High and he got tossed.
It's the ginger, bro. It's the ginger.
He was a hellraiser. So he got expelled from Blakers High and ended up at Kingsgrove Sports High. And I think he won the Commonwealth Bank Cup with them in 94 or something like that. It was another schoolboy prodigy that played first grade for St. George at 17. He was going to break the St. George Games playing record of Norm Provan, but then how things unfolded at 2005, he got accused of doing something he never done. So basically, I think the plot was uncovered that the coach didn't want him there anymore.
Right.
And Tomo, I'll tell you one thing about Tomo, the most selfless St. George player anyone can come across. He basically forked money out of his own pocket to put players on scholarships. So at one stage, he was actually managing some up-and-coming prodigies such as Chase Stanley, Carl Stanley, Dean Farray, Rory O'Brien. He had Martin Tapau of the Bulldogs, just to name some. And he would fork out of his own pocket. And what the club did afterwards was shafting. It left a lot of a sour taste on a lot of the fans.
Sad.
They actually had a few thousand fans not rock up to the games because of disloyalty and how they treated him. And then Lance went over to Cronulla. I followed Lance's career very closely. We used to play a lot of cards together. And I think 3 years in a row, he was in the New South Wales team as admitted by Ricky Stewart and Phil Gould. And just his luck, every time, the rounds of when the selection was up, he'd injure himself and missed that whole month of footy for State of Origin.
Who are your other gingers that you...
Look, you can't go past the fat because we grew up with the footy show. For kids of my generation's 80s kids, that footy show in mid-90s until the late 90s was the GOAT. He brought a whole new generation of players into there. It was Fatty versus Sturlo, Queensland versus New South Wales.
Always, yes.
Character. You'd see him sometimes after the games. He'd give his time to everyone. Most politest man as well. Would never lose his temper at anyone, no matter how much of a dick people would be to him.
Yeah. Surprising for a ginger?
No, look, a lot of gingers, I think every ginger I've come across has been very polite. Another one is Bulldog. He's a character, James Bulldog Graham.
Oh, mate.
I know St. George signed him. I just thought he should have just...
Yeah.
Look, it's good he's ended up at Canterbury. That club suited him really well.
Absolutely.
I know I'm rambling on about redheads, but wow, we had some redheads over the years.
Yeah.
And this one, he brought the It was like he was the anti-hero or the villain.
He was always, yeah.
You
But
know,
the Bulldogs loved him.
He
to
made
death.
it personal with players.
He did, he
He'd
did.
single out one forward to go after him. Or, I mean, there was that incident with Billy Slater. And, you know, Bulldog brought a whole... It was like the WWE coming to the NRL. He brought that with him.
His famous sign, "Run again, son."
Yeah, you know.
Mate.
And then, if I want to go on further...
one more.
Look, Phil Gould's a redheaded as well. For me, he was the first New South Wales coach I can remember. So to me, it was like, yes, he's on our side. He's coaching our boys.
Yeah.
He was the Premiership Penrith winning coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this guy was something special. My parents revered him. My older brother and older sister loved him. And then he went to East. He started the whole revolution there. And then he was commentating on. He used to coach and commentate on the games. You know, something that was rare. Something that'll probably be unheard of again.
Yeah.
And then he's from there come back as New South Wales coach, pulled him out of the doldrums. And then he's gone into football administration, and he's just taken it to a whole new level.
He's killing it.
I just want to throw one more out of left field from yesterday. There was his flyer. His name was Brett Dallas for Canterbury and North Sydney Bears.
Yes.
He was a whippet. He was an absolute whippet. I heard he's fallen on a bit of tough times. I hope he can pull his life together. He's based himself in North Queensland, but just to name a few over the years. And
great redheads.
You know, you can just bet your money on if there's a redhead that makes first grade, he's one heck of a player.
That's right.
And that's my list. Sorry to take up so much time.
Go the Gingers. You know, all Gingers, you know, great people, and we love them on this podcast, don't we?
Oh, hands down.
So speaking of Gus Gould, another good segue. So for your beloved Dragons, Gus Gould has called for Des to coach the Dragons. He's not from the Dragons system. He's an external coach. He's got that drive and that motivation. What do you think?
I do apologise if I'm wrong here. But is Phil Gould managed by George Mimis as well? Can we fact check this? I wish I checked this before the podcast. But I think he's managed by George Mimis as well. And I think Hasler's managed by him, Jason Riles is managed by him, and Hornby. So does Gould know something we know?
We don't.
Oh, sorry, we don't know, sorry.
I mean, but yeah, it's a
Is
good
there
point.
A conflict of interest there?
I don't think so.
Is he pushing Hasler's claim because maybe Riles doesn't want?
Nah, I disagree.
Look, I know Gould said something, and I agree almost totally that, and he was right. St. George have always gone down the boys' club path.
Yep.
They need someone that hasn't been involved with the club.
But Hook wasn't involved with the club.
I know, but it was like he was loosely affiliated. You're right there. Look, I don't mind Riles coming in because he's been away from the club for so long. And he's got his resume. He's been around. I'd love to see Jason Riles, a new blood, get that position. Hasler's 61, 62. I don't mind if Des gets it. Look, matter of fact, I would be happy. But I just feel like I want Riles.
Look, I think a new coach would be good for the Dragons, but then that means there's going to have to be a total clean out.
There needs to be a 4 or 5 year. Give this guy 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 year plan.
They just can't have any expectations for the first 2 years that they'll make the finals. But look, set the benchmark high. I want Jason Riles.
I think
he's worked around with. I think he's worked in the Wallabies setup. He's worked in the English setup, rugby union setup. He's worked at the Melbourne Storm. He's worked at the Sydney Roosters. He was a player of note for New South Wales, Australia, and a few other clubs that I think he played in 2 or 3 different side grand finals.
Look, I think Jason Riles will probably make a good coach, but for the Dragons are a fickle bunch. The coaches, the fans, do you think that they'd be willing to wait and invest in someone like Jason Riles? Because think about it this way, right? If you guys bring in Jason Riles, there's going to have to be a clean out, right? And then from that clean out, it's going to take 3 or 4 years before you get to where you think you should be.
I just want to point out the Dragons probably got the most frugal, stingiest owners in the game. It's not taking a pot shot at the St. George side of the venture. It's the other side of the venture that bought out the Illawarra Steelers, who own the Win TV. You know, if you look at, might be wrong comparing this, but Man City owners, they injected money into the club. Look at them now. They bought the best coaches, the best players, the best trainers, the best you name it what. These guys got money. They might be the richest owners involved in a game for a club.
They should invest in the club.
And if you look at it further, they actually are the main shareholders of Channel 9, Channel 10, and a few other media outlets. Surely they got a bigger pool than all the other club. Pull your weight. If rugby league's not running the game for you, then sell your consortium up to someone else that wants to have a dig. They didn't pay the most. It was more like a conflict of interest where Illawarra didn't want to make sure they were erased from rugby league or from the brand, and they gave it to these guys despite 2 other offers being better and more significant.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a weird one.
You know, but it's just Wing TV has the biggest share in the TV rights that actually pays the majority of the money to the game.
Des for the Dragons, yes or no?
Yes, but I want Riles. If I can't get Riles, then I'll take Des. Yes.
All right. Turbo on the wing for New South Wales.
No.
Yes or no?
Why would you get rid of? That's absurd. Why would you get rid of him in Latrosi centre?
You know, that's exactly what Good said.
Well, there you go. He's Good's
Yeah.
thinking what basically 99% of the people are thinking.
Yeah. He's saying widen at 14, Turbo and Latrell in the centres, and then Tupou and Toto on the wings, right? Tedesco at the back.
Tupou and Toto.
Daniel Tupou.
Again.
And Brian Toto, yeah.
Is there any other wing options?
Suali'i.
Anyone else? I think Suali probably deserves his run against Tupou. Nothing against Tupou.
Yeah, look, Tupou's
he's still
great.
playing off note. I don't think Suali probably deserves his run.
Man, if Fox wasn't injured, I think.
I would have said Fox because you know what? And this is where people need to get their facts right. Stop looking at stats. There's something the Fox gives you that no other player in the game can give. And he's the fastest man, but he gives you speed to burn. He's a finisher.
Yeah.
So any half breaks, he's going to be there. Stop looking at 30-meter kick returns. I'm sure I could step on the field and have the ball kicked to me 10 times and run 20 meters. Yes, I will get smashed. I have 200 meters on my stats. So get to know the game properly. He's a weapon, and you got to have him there.
Look,
he's a finisher, and he can defend.
And even the Bulldogs not having him last week, even though, you know, we've got wingers, we've got Braden Burns, we've got Declan Casey, we've got, you know, Gerald. I
just find it frustrating that he had 200 meters for meters made. It just shows how much somebody knows about football. Next to zero.
Yeah, stats are very, very deceiving.
Just very deceiving.
Especially in New South Wales, when you look at, for example, what he will bring to the energy that he brings, and also if you look at, you know, the fullback for the Queensland team will always be scared to be out of position in case they lob one up for the Fox, and Fox just streaks down the side to get it.
I think under Fittler they had their first series win in 2018. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't remember the days.
Anyway, I think they went 2018, 2019. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, 2018, there's a key moment in that series. Kalen Ponga makes a break.
Yeah.
It's 1-1. New South Wales is up in the third game.
Yeah.
Kalen Ponga makes that break, and he gets pulled down half a metre off the line. You know who makes the tackle there? Tedesco, who's very quick, and the other one, the Fox.
Yeah.
Tedesco cut him off an angle. The Fox gets there, half a metre line. If Fox is the quickest player in the game, would anyone else have made that tackle?
No, I agree with you.
There might be one other person, but just show you how much speed of a weapon is. And he's a great finisher. He's a prolific try scorer.
There's no replacement for speed. He's
not a guy that fumbles the ball either when the try's begging.
He's a guy that will, even you look at the doggies when they're a bit down on energy, Fox is in there shouting and laughing and screaming and getting the players back.
And another thing I like about Tupou, but everyone going, but Tupou, he's got great stats. Yeah, okay, he does have great stats. But I'll point out one thing about Tupou. Toto, my apologies. Toto, he's a finisher as well. He's got a safe pair of hands as well. And he does well under the high ball.
Yeah, he does. And he takes a lot of pressure off the forwards, I feel. I think that's why I think Suali'i will be good there, because I think he runs, he has the ability to break tackles.
And he can finish as well.
And he's a great finisher too.
Sorry, I went on a rant there, but just getting fed up with these
Dibbo's
people that just look at stats for their Supercoach, and then it's like those people that used to play Football Manager and became experts at soccer. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Next episode, we're going to be calling it episode 8, Dibbo's rants. Next point, Luke Thomson might be back for the Bulldogs a little bit earlier than possible, 4 to 6 weeks, he was saying.
It's funny because they first went, it's going to be lengthy, and then they revised to be short, but then they went back, but not as lengthy as before. And I found it odd, but it's good. Yeah,
4 to 6 weeks, they're saying that he might be back. He's doing everything possible. So, I mean, you know, if you get Franklin Pele back, you get Luke Thomson back, we're going to have one of the biggest forward packs in the game. And I think that'll turn a lot of heads when you look at how big our forward pack and our bench will be. And we'll start to show the capability that the Bulldogs have.
You got Tavita Pangai?
We'll talk about that in the preview. Yep. And finally, is the hip drop crackdown going too far?
Much too far. That was a farce, what we saw on the weekend. I went off in the Spotify. It's these nameless or faceless people who are making the rules that most likely haven't played the game at a level of note. They got no idea in regards to the the pressure, basically a lot of it that comes into it. How hard it is to actually pull down a player and all the dynamics of it, the momentum and whatnot. I mean, who are these people making the rules? It feels like, does a salmon go and tell a bird how to fly? So somebody that hasn't played the game, are they going to come and start making the rules because they didn't like something that may or not fit their agenda or for their team? Because now all of a sudden they've set the precedent that poor Jacob Preston's just trying to rake the ball out, and instead gets pinged for a hip drop. Where was his hands around the hip? And then all of a sudden goes to the bin. Team concedes four tries. Yes, they may not have won the game, but they're getting themselves back into the game.
It was at a really pivotal point in the match. Absolutely.
It turned it around. And then just another example, Jaden Sewer. He's falling off the player. He has to hold on for dear life. So what do you want him to do? Let go of the player so he can walk over and score 10 meters out? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
I think it's maybe if there's two or more players in the tackle, that can be counted as a hip drop.
I don't know. It's one of those
because
ones,
it's pointless to go on a hip drop if you got two players already wrestling him.
It's touch and go. I just think that the officiating is getting ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting to a point where it's starting to decide matches unfairly.
I think the NRL just needs to rid itself of these buttercups that get sensitive and outraged over everything. Honestly,
that buttercups, leave the game.
I know a lot of people try to say, it's a tough or brutal game. Well, lo and behold, a lot of 6-year-olds when I was growing up got actually attracted to the game from the heavy defense, the big hits, the blood gashing from the head. Everyone wanted to be that warrior.
Shoulder charges.
Exactly. The flying through the gaps. You'd see highlights of Gilmeister. I used to watch for the State of Origin highlights. Gilmeister, Harrigan, Ciro.
Oh my god!
All those guys, Alan Can and whatnot.
What a game! What an era of rugby league that we're just moving away.
But all of a sudden, the Buttercups have never played the game at a level of note. Want the game to suit them.
I think we're gonna name this episode Debo's Rants.
Debo's Rants. This one has to be Debo's Rants.
Because you know what, we're having a great start to the year, and then all of a sudden, the bunker, the judiciary, the refs, and the Buttercups want their say, no consistencies, and start ruining it for everyone. And don't ruin our momentum.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't over police the game.
So with that, we're going to preview round 7. What was that? Sorry.
Can we have one more rant?
Well, I'm sure we're going to get some rants as we preview.
But my only rant is another rant is, as I pointed earlier, if you're a referee and you're unsure, don't guess and hope. As we saw in that Dolphins game when he ruled 6 again when the player didn't even touch the ball.
He's a bit of Dragons fan. Lost.
You don't lose those games, but anyway, they lost it.
First game, Thursday night, will be the Dolphins up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Based off the last round, the Rabbitohs put 50 on the Bulldogs, but I thought they were still quite poor. And 5 or 6 of their tries came on the wing of Alamotti, who's not a winger, and the team didn't adjust well enough to be able to keep those tries out. I think with the way that the Dolphins performed against the Cowboys, they've got Cody Nikorima and Isaiah Katoa in 6 and 7. Jeremy Marshall King's there. Honestly, I don't see the Dolphins losing this at all.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go the Dolphins again. They get their leader of the pack, Jesse Bromwich, back as well.
Which is such a big in as well.
Mark Nichols is still there. He's Mr. Quality no matter if he's starting or bench.
The GOAT.
Yeah, you could probably call him the GOAT. I'm going to go also Dolphins. I'm going to go Dolphins by 8. Souths lose to Tyler again, unfortunately. They get a good replacement in Jai Arrow. Different type of players, though.
Honestly, I think Jai Arrow's...
You can play your front row, but it's good to see Alex Johnston back in.
Good to see Alex Johnston back, but I
want to see him hit that 200 try mark.
Yeah, look,
I want to see someone new own that record.
I want him to be the highest try scorer ever for the rugby league. I don't mind that, but I just think that the Rabbitohs were up against it this week. They did not perform well last week, and I don't think they're going to perform well again. Their team is by and large not too different to what it was last week.
Unless Latrell all of a sudden becomes Godzilla and gives us a masterclass and scores 5 tries by himself. And he's very capable of it.
Gerard Sutton's not officiating, so I'm sure they won't be able to put 50 this time.
Ashley Klein's officiating, so anything's possible on that one.
That's true,
Dear me.
actually.
Ashley Klein.
Then we got the Sharks against the Roosters on 6 p.m. on Friday.
Blockbuster. Why is it a 6 o'clock
Yeah,
game? Look, I don't mind a nice game at 6. Is everyone ready to watch the game at 6 o'clock on a Friday?
Look, they got to put it somewhere. I think.
You know what it's these days is a lot of workers finish work late, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Look, it is a Friday. They might knock off early for drinks or whatnot, or family feeds and whatnot. So,
Look, they get the Roosters get Tedesco back. I think he'll be a big in for them. I do think though that the Sharks will have too much. Believe it or not, I think that the Sharks will have this. Nick Hines just signed a mammoth 6 or 10, 15 years contract with the Sharks. And I just didn't see enough from the Roosters last week.
look, I want to go Cronulla on this, but just see the ins for the Roosters.
Yeah.
Teddy Tedesco. You got Matt Lodge now back in as well.
Matt Lodge is there. That's right.
You know, Manu goes back into his preferred position.
Centre.
Yeah, I don't know if Drew Hutchison's a wise choice to keep on the bench still.
I don't think he
I
is.
think someone else deserves a chance. Look, he's good. He can play in the halves. He's actually really a halfback. But
I would have Jake Turpin there instead of Drew Hutchison, to be honest. To give
Hutchison's been asked to fill in like literally 4 or 5 spots. And he does it with some sort of distinction.
No, it's not that he's bad. I just think that, look, to be honest, Brandon Smith isn't an 80-minute hooker. That's my honest opinion.
Look, I just think Roosters, I know Cronulla's got a strong forward pack from wherever you got them,
Yeah.
but you got the triumvirate of Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, Lindsay Collins, and Matt Lodge. So it's like 3 destroyers. And then you also got the guy in the middle, Brandon Smith, who's now actually starting to get a bit of a roll on.
Yeah, true.
And I think Manu and Swali'i and Teddy can single-handedly just put a team away, basically.
Do you know who's flying under the radar? Not flying under the radar, but who's been really good for the Roosters? Jackson Paulo.
Yeah, he's actually
He's
doing better than he was doing at Souths, much to the
Much
bitterness
better.
of the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
To be honest, I thought he was hard done by. He had one poor game last year against, I think it was against the Roosters. And
You know what?
They just dropped him, and it wasn't to be seen for the rest of the year.
Just on that topic, I hope the Roosters just keep stealing South's players. You know what, Souths fans?
Number one enemy for the Rabbitohs.
No, I'm
this
not
guy.
the number one enemy, but you know their team was so crap for so long. So you know, and look at them now. But you know they don't deserve Latrell. They didn't deserve Inglis, and they didn't deserve Burgess.
I think that's
Take them out. They're still running last for the
that's-
next
well,
20 years.
do the Roosters deserve to have Tedesco? He started off with the Tigers.
Yeah, Roosters deserve all those players. Look, Roosters
Nah,
just keep
get
stealing
outta
their
here,
players. I
get
just
outta
like
here,
seeing.
nah.
I just like seeing Souths fans being bitter. Still their players.
Manly Warringah Seagulls against the Melbourne Storm.
We're definitely going to see an improvement by Manly.
I just think that with the defensive problems that Manly are having, I think,
Wait, hang on a sec. Woods is in the team. I don't think so. I'll take it back.
look, man,
I'm only making it. Nah, look, you definitely see. I think Turbo's going to make a statement in this game.
well, I wouldn't be surprised if he's out though.
Look, it was just a back spasm. I'm sure.
Hopefully he's playing, but I do think that if you look at the team that Melbourne's got, they've got Munster at fullback. They've got
I still think Melbourne's going to get this game by 14 points, but I think Turbo's going to have a good game. Just overall, Melbourne's just going to beat them.
I just don't think that the Manly have the defense in them to keep the Storm
Oh.
attack out.
Of course not.
And the thing is, I actually like the way they've named their team. So Nick Meaney's out with an injury. So they've got Munster at fullback. They've got Jonah Pezzett at 6 and Jerome Hughes at 7 with Grant at 9. I think Pezzett's been very good for the Storm while Jerome Hughes has been out. And I actually think that
He'll slot into that 6 like he hasn't missed a beat. Like
Honestly.
he's in his 3rd or 4th season. That's
Yeah.
how good he is. Jonah Pezzett.
and in attack, I think Cameron Munster will just be everywhere. He's just going to rip them to shreds.
You put him at 5'8" and think, yeah, look, what a player. And then you put him at fullback. I think they won a premiership with him at fullback.
Yeah, I think they did.
And you just think, geez, do I put him at fullback or do I put him
Is
at
he
5'8"?
better? Yeah, and I remember that discussion was being had. Where is Cameron Munster better at? But then they had such riches in fullback with Pappenhausen and Nico Hines that Cameron Munster cemented himself at 6.
Yeah, I definitely agree there.
Warriors and North Queensland again. They only just played each other 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I think the Cowboys are going to finally have some immense sort of improvement. They get Nanai and Tuolangi back.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the Cowboys on this one.
I think it'll be Cowboys in a close one. I'm calling the Warriors. Tamari Martin is out.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors still get home because it is a home game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the Cowboys by 4. It's going to be a close game.
The only reason the only reason I'm saying that the Cowboys might win is because Wade Egan, who has been playing very, very good for the Warriors,
Very involved,
is out. And Tamati Martin is out as well. But they do get Tohu Harris back, who's a big in for them. He's their spiritual leader, their warrior, their captain. So, I mean, it's a close one, but I'm going to say Cowboys by 4, just because I think that they will start to make some inroads. Titans and Broncos.
No, there's one game you missed, I think. You missed the
Oh, sorry.
Penrith vs Newcastle. It's at Newcastle.
Apologies.
Yeah, all good. But look, in this game, I'm going to go Penrith by 18. I think Newcastle put up a spirited performance, but unfortunately for Newcastle, they've been on a winning run, but one of their bogey players comes back, and Tyson Gamble. I'm just mucking around, but yeah, I'm going to go Penrith by 18. Brayley's a big loss from the hooking role. He's been a rock for him. I know Phoenix Crossland will still do a good job there, but I think Penrith's just going to have too much class, even though it's an away game for him.
Look, I think Penrith will win, but I don't think it'll be
by much.
I don't think it'll be by more than 12. I think the Knights are going to surprise a lot of people against the Panthers.
I got Penrith by 18. If it's a close game,
it'll be. I think the Knights will give a good account of themselves.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it off.
I actually think it'll be a very enjoyable game.
It has to
I think it'll be a great game.
Will be,
I think it'll be a great game. Now, Titans and Broncos up there at Seabus Super Stadium in Robina. I think the Broncos will bounce back well.
Yeah, I think the Broncos will belt them by 18 or.
You think it'll be belting?
Yeah, I think it'll be belting. I think
Look,
it'll be a belting. I think Gold Coast thought they pulled off a miracle win last week. They were playing against a team that I don't think will make the 8 that they beat last
Kieran
week.
Foran's back in the 6. I think he'll add a lot for them. I don't think they'll beat the Broncos, but I think they'll probably. The problem with the Titans, I feel, is when they lose, they tend to lose by quite a bit. But when they win like
they win somehow.
Yeah. So I do think you're right. I think it'll be probably Broncos by 12.
Yeah.
Or 13 plus. Actually, I'll go Broncos 13 plus. I mean, unless they go on a downhill dip, which could happen.
Then we got another game, Canberra.
Canberra against St George. This will be
just to show you St George's luck. Canberra get back 3 key players. They get in Nick Kotrick on the wing. They get Jack Watton in their 5'8", and they get Joseph Tarpany there, one of the key front row. It's just like, what a way of time. Like, really, the Raiders are just probably missing Rapana, and he's replaceable in Kotrick, and then probably other than that, they're Xavier Savage.
Yeah,
but other than that, looks like they got a well-placed team where St George lose one in their front row, and the Flying Fiji and Ravaloa on the wing.
But to be honest, they get Zane Musgrove back, who I think has been missing from the team, sorely missed, and Tata
Moga is very physical, but he lacks.
He's not a Ravaloa.
He lacks serious pace. It's in Canberra. Canberra's St George's bogey side. I'm going to get Canberra on this one by 12 points. I think they'll just come out of the blocks. St George will just have one of those crappy days.
I'm actually going to go St George by 6.
I don't see where you're tipping him there. I don't know where you're getting that.
I don't think the Dragons have been as bad as you.
I thought Jaden Hunt deserves his spot in the 17 this time. I think Moses Mbai has to make way.
I agree with you, to be honest, but
he should have scored 2 tries on that weekend, and he couldn't get over the line. Whereas Jaden Sullivan, when he played first grade this year, was finding himself through gaps and over the line.
No, I agree with you, and I think Jaden Sullivan's the future. He needs to
have more game time as possible. Mbai probably needs to go into reserves and play more minutes, and then come and make his way back into first grade.
Agreed, but that's the team that he's gone with, and I think they'll give a good account. I honestly think they'll win. I think.
Look, I'd love a win, but
it'll be a good game.
I mean, if you can't put away the Gold Coast, how do you expect to put away Canberra in Canberra, especially when they're your bogey side?
That's true, but
look, I hope they and you prove me wrong, but that's the way I see it at the moment.
Canberra Raiders haven't been very impressive this year, so
who's going to be your man of the match? Corey Horsburgh?
I think Corey Horsburgh will be man of the match in a losing side. And final game will be the Parramatta Eels against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs.
Match of the round. These clubs don't love each other. The fans hate each other. They probably have skirmishes before the game, during the game, and after the game, and probably 3 months later over the result. There's a lot riding on this game. I know the ribbing has already started from now. Canterbury get back Tavita Pangai. They get Kikau back. They get Mariner back. And they get Ockenbaugh back, a big, large chunk of their forward pack. They're still missing a lot of their team. Look, it's good that Braden Burns is on the wing.
Mhm.
Um,
They needed to have that
and
experience.
you know what? He
next
can
to
sometimes
Alamoti.
put in a performance that. I mean, do you remember him in State of Origin?
Burns hasn't
That's-
played State of
Oh,
Origin.
sorry, Corey Allen. Mistaken him,
Yeah,
Corey
yeah.
Allen. Jeez,
No,
Corey
he
Allen.
hasn't played there.
Yeah, but Braden Burns, if you remember him at Souths,
Even at the Bulldogs last year, he's very reliable.
yeah,
He's got that experience. He's got decent defense, and he'll help Paul Alamotti as opposed to having like a Gerald Skelton or a young Declan Casey there.
It's great timing for both teams as well. I mean, Junior Parlo
Yeah,
comes back for
Barlow comes
Parramatta.
back,
This
yeah.
is going to be a cracking game.
Big front row. So if you look at the Dogs front row, we've got Max King, Tavita Pangai Jr., Viliami Kikau, Jacob Preston, Raymond Faye, Tyler Mariner. On the bench, we've got Reynolds, Ockenbaugh, Waddell, and Sutton.
I reckon, you know what? If Addo Carr was playing this game and they put him up against Hayes Dunster, I reckon he would have terrorised Hayes
I
Dunster.
agreed.
You know what? I'd like to see Kiraz go up against Sivo. I know Sivo's like twice his size, but Kiraz is so busy, he'll probably tire out Sivo, and he always has a dig in defence. And if he gets in early on Sivo, he can nullify him getting any ahead of steam and getting any yardages close to the line.
Look, I agree. My worry is actually Penasini
I,
on Avarillo.
No, look, I've seen Avarillo. He's bulked up.
But he's just in
He's
defense. He can be MIA. That's the problem with Jake Avarillo. Is in defense he can be MIA.
I think you'll have a big game.
But I mean that first try they scored against the Rabbitohs was very telling. I think that the Bulldogs, especially with Tavita Pangai Jr. back, if you look at how where our successes come from for the Bulldogs, it's been about the second phase play. It's been about throwing the ball around. It's been about being active with the ball.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
I just think that Tavita Pangai Jr. suits the type of footy we play.
I know, and I agree with you. I just problem with Tavita is it's his first game of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think the fans should expect too much from him. He needs a bit of match fitness and just get up to the pace, up to scratch with the pace of the game. And you know what? I'm not saying he won't have a great game. I'm just thinking the fans shouldn't expect too much from him from the first game because he's gone straight into the starting lineup. Give him 2 or 3 games, and it's exactly what you're saying. It will show.
Look, I think here's the thing, right? He's been named to start. I don't think he'll start. I think that Ryan Sutton will start in his place. Tavita Pangai Jr. will go back to the bench. Okay? And
yeah, I don't disagree with that.
And what I think is someone like Tavita Pangai Jr. can come on in, say, the last 10 minutes of the first half, will come on and just run the Eels ragged. Because here's the thing about the Eels forwards. They're a big forward pack, but they can be intimidated. And if you remember last year when the Bulldogs beat the Eels, it was Tavita Pangai Jr. that absolutely tore the Eels forward pack to shreds on his own.
Oh, he can tear if he plays a bit more smarter, doesn't overplay his hand, and take sometimes unnecessary risks. He can destroy any forward pack or any side really because he's very agile for a big man.
Yeah,
so he can run in and around the backs. I think I think deep down you're really worried in case Mitchell Moses and Regan Campbell-Gillard have a big game against you guys because it seems like they're public enemy number one for you. What happens if Mitchell Moses has a blinder?
Good on him. Good on him.
I think Canterbury fans will be livid.
Look, if Mitchell Moses has a blinder, right, I'll put my hand up and congratulate him, right? But here's the thing.
What if Regan Campbell-Gillard has a blinder?
You know what you get with Regan Campbell-Gillard? You just get someone who runs up the ball with an absolutely ridiculous mustache that looks horrible, right? But he's not a great forward. The problem with Regan Campbell-Gillard is the minute you put some pressure on him, he buckles. Junior Barlow is not like that. Junior Barlow is the danger forward for us.
They got the leader of the pack. I think the forwards will follow the leader of the pack. Look, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to go. This is going to be a very, very tough game to tip. I just think Canterbury's just missing a few more players. Honestly, honest truth, if Canterbury has their full strength team and Parramatta had their full strength, just the way both teams are going at the moment, I would have went Canterbury. I still think Canterbury's just missing a few more forwards, a few more players. Just still think that slight lack of depth. I'm going to go Para by 2. That's how close I have it.
I'm going to go Canterbury by 13+.
Wow, big win, eh?
I honestly think that if the Bulldogs can just get it right and do all the basics right,
I don't doubt it.
I don't think the Eels can keep up. And I know that's very cocky of me to say, but we've seen what the Bulldogs can do in attack. And as long as Seraldo can rotate our bench adequately, the Bulldogs will put it all over the Eels. Because you know why? I'll tell you why. Clint Gutherson tries very, very hard, but Clint Gutherson can only do so much, and I don't think he's that X factor, which is what the Eels were saying they needed, right? I don't think.
You know what? I'm looking at your bench, and Corey Woodall's played good the last
He's played
couple of
very
weeks
well.
or a month. Ockenball last few weeks, besides the suspension,
Excellent.
excellent. Sutton, he'll give you his time. Probably not as much impact you need at him,
But
but he doesn't do anything wrong.
But that's all you need from him.
The only thing I don't like on your bench is your 14.
I agree with you.
Is there other options you have? I thought number 19,
Carl
Carl
Oluwapu.
Oluwapu.
I agree with you.
Throw him in. He's an unknown entity to this Parramatta side. I mean, what's the worst he's going to do? Play twice as good as what Reynolds would have played in the game? I'm being fair dinkum there.
Honestly, I think Oluwapu should have been 14. To be honest with you, I'm going to go so far out of field. I think that Harrison Edwards should have been on the bench.
Oh, he's actually out of the whole side.
Harrison Edwards last week against the Rabbitohs was such a good lock in getting the ball out to our centers and wingers. He was passing the ball very cleanly. He was tackling well.
That's
he was
almost
running hard.
Your starting lineup's almost full strength. Max for your forwards anyway. Max King, Reid Marnie, Tavita Pangai, Viliami Kikau, Jacob Preston, Raymond Fatala-Mariner. I'll tell you the only downside to all that is they're all lacking match time. Match fitness, some of them, and then match time together to get that cohesion and combination.
Yeah.
That's the only downside. I said it before. If they all had their full strength sides, both of them, and they had been playing with each other for a prolonged period, then I would tip Canterbury. But because they're missing players and there's match fitness lacking and possibly cohesion, I don't know how Tavita Pangai is going to go in this game. I don't know.
If he starts on the bench, I'm telling you, if he starts on the bench, he's going to come on and tear the Eels a new one. And
I don't know how Raymond Fatala, because it stop-start with him and kick out. They've been out.
Look, here's the thing that I think people don't realise about Raymond Fatala-Mariner is he's not the biggest meter eater, but what he does is he provides a solid base of defence.
The reason why he's in the middle of the field is to lock that field up because he can defend and he can attack.
That's right.
I know a lot of players are questioning, why isn't he in the second row? As I said before, Serraldo needs that wide running second rower, and Jacob Preston he's actually a big boy. And people think he's quite skinny. He's actually, if you see him, he's actually got a bit of size on him.
He does, and
he's a very rangy, wide running second row, and he's got an offload to him, and he looks for the link up support.
And he's very crafty as a second row. He's not the a catch and pass type player.
Fatala-Mariner can back up as a front row if need be.
And a lot of the times you find, even though he runs wide of the field, he still does those tough carries that when they need to be done. He makes the tough tackles that need to be made. So that's why I think having Raymond Fatala-Mariner back will add a lot to our team in terms of defense. The only, and I'm not even joking, the only person that I think will give the doggies problems will be Sean Lane.
He's got that mad offload and he runs for the line really well as well.
If Dylan Brown and Sean Lane combine, they're the threat. I don't think Mitchell Moses will be too much of a threat.
You know what? If they can, because I love going to Micah Sevo. If they can limit the space he gets, then it will absolutely nullify him to the point where he's going to do nothing and he's going to start causing errors. So they need to get in his face early. Tried it a few times.
Bro, they need to bomb the crap out of Micah Sevo.
He has his moments where he does drop the ball quite often.
And I'm telling you, if you keep pressuring him, you will get one or two drop balls from him.
I reckon the other guy's more of a liability. Hayes Dunster, his second game back.
Hayes Dunster was being bombed quite often against the Tigers, and he caught some very, very difficult.
He was very, very suspect in defence. That Tupou just kept running through him.
That Tupou's a big boy.
I think he ran through him 4 or 5 times.
But
and I can't see why Kiraz couldn't do the same to him. Even Braden Burns.
I reckon Kiraz can.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think he can.
But as I said, Braden Burns can defend well. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on Sevo either.
But I don't think he'll move.
Because he normally defends in the centres. I don't think I have an issue defending.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's going to be a good game, and I do think that. And here's the thing, right? If Hayes Perham continues to run on the inside or outside of Tavita Pangai Jr., you're going to see Hayes Perham score 1 or 2 tries.
I don't think he should be the only. I don't think he should be the only guy running off the forwards.
No, agreed. But Hayes
Other
Perham's
forwards
got the
should
speed.
be running off Tavita, looking for the offload.
Yeah,
your centres, your halves, your hooker. I mean, Reid Marnie's quick off the mark.
Yeah.
He should be looking for the ball. Birdo's the guy. Birdo's the man to run off Tavita.
That's what I was about to say. I'll say if Birdo sticks by Tavita Pangai Jr. and keeps running, because Birdo runs really good lines.
You know what? I want to see this in the game. I want to see Kyle Flanagan. I want to see him take on the line as he's doing, and I want to see him make a line break. I want to see him put the foot back himself.
Yeah.
Have a go. There is going to be a time he's going to break through, and I hope it's this round.
What if Kyle Flanagan outplays Mitchell Moses?
I mean, I don't put it beyond him. He's got the capabilities.
He does. We believe in you, Kyle.
He just got to transfer it into first grade, basically. So he's got to back himself. I'd like to see him bulk up a bit.
Look, he needs to play with what he's got right now. And that is he needs to run the ball more, but he also needs to know when to kick, and he's just afraid of kicking. I don't know why he's afraid of kicking.
No, look, not last week, the week before, in that upset victory.
Yeah. He played well.
I saw him kick the ball more in that first 20 than Birdo did. He was actually taking charge.
And I want to see more of that. I think Burden needs to be left to play his natural running, because Burden over the last few weeks has also run the ball a little bit more, and I feel like he's made some half breaks. He needs Perham, Avarillo, Kiraz, Burns. He needs them running off him as well, because I do think that
it's coming. I mean, I think we discussed before. The combinations will work themselves out more. Yeah. As they get more used to playing each other, because you can train together, you can get ready for the moves, and you're not really having anyone opposing you at a proper pace as what league games are.
Yeah.
So the more games, the more you're going to work out your errors, the timing, the more you're going to just look at each other and understand, the more you're going to position yourself. It will come, and it is coming.
I think they're getting there.
They are.
And as I'm saying, I'm calling Dogs by 13+.
I mean, look, I hope they do, but make you proud.
It'll be a great game.
I like to see Para fans have a cry this weekend, even though I've tipped them by 2+.
But even when they win, they have a cry. So what's the difference?
If they lose, that's one team you don't want to lose to, Canterbury, or you don't want to lose to Para in return.
I think Reid Marnie's going to have the game of the year. He's going to tear them to shreds.
I'm sure he'd want to prove his old side wrong.
He's going to tear them to shreds.
Just to close off, what can the West Tigers do this week? They've got the week off. Is there anything they can do besides stay out of trouble?
I think the West Tigers just need to work on their defense. I think if they can shore up their defense, because the problem with the Tigers is they're letting way too many easy tries. If they were to stop those easy tries, I'm telling you, they have the attack in them.
Can they work on fitness? Do you think they're fit enough? Can they work? Because it feels like as they get fatigued, their communication and mental toughness or mental communication just dies away. It feels like there's no communication, and they're just letting the most simplest, dumbest tries.
I actually think that they keep changing their back line, and that's what's affecting the communication. Just stick to the back line and just defend. Like, just learn to defend for each other. Once you can defend for each other, let the attack sort itself out. Defense wins games, not attack. Once you can defend, you can score points.
I mean, if they're shutting out the other team, you're not wrong there.
I don't know if they have it in them, though.
I mean, we keep talking about the halves there, or the halfback. I mean, all right, let's see how their defense goes. If they work on their defense, let's see how that
I reckon they just need to work on their defense, because they have enough players with enough attack in there. I think David Clemmer, I think their forwards need to aim up a little bit more.
I thought Papali'i had a good game for him.
He had a great game. He had a great game for them, and the Eels the Tigers need more of that.
I definitely thought Tigers forwards were better than Parramatta's forwards on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I just thought they didn't wasted the ball too many times. That's where, like, hey, what's going on with the structure of attack?
Like for example, Hopgood's on the bench again. I think Hopgood should be starting. I don't think Hopgood should be on the bench. I feel like he's. But
they got a good in the forwards. They got Madison. They got Sean Lane.
And they have Cartwright. You don't think Hopgood should be there over Cartwright in the starting row?
Cartwright's actually done well while starting this year.
He's done okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why I feel Arthur's thought he should stick with him, because he's seen the gradual improvement. So I think he'll stick for him for a few more rounds, and just hope he keeps improving.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think that Cartwright's still mid. I think Hopgood's much better than him. That's my opinion.
I mean, you're probably right. I'm just saying how Brad Arthur's gone in that way.
So, with that, we've come to the end of the 7th installment of the NRL, the Kennel NRL podcast. Thank you so much if you have made it to the end. Final call: the Bulldogs are going to beat the Eels 13+.
Give us your list of your favourite redheads over the years.
Let us know what you think in the comments on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you like to consume your social media, and we'll sort of have that discussion. But also tell us what you think about our list of favourite gingers in the NRL. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for watching the podcast. I hope you enjoy round 7, and he's hoping the officiating doesn't ruin it. Thank you.
See you next week.